Hello everyone. I am pleased to be able to deliver the closing remarks at this important event. Artificial intelligence is a key feature of Australia's digital economy strategy, and Techtonic 2.0 marks the bringing together of some of the best and brightest minds from around the country. A major technological transformation that will change how we live, work and play is underway as technology has become embedded in the fabric of everyday lives. AI, along with other digital technologies, is going to play an increasingly important role in our economy and society over the next decade. As the Minister for the Digital Economy, my role is to champion the digital economy and to ensure that we are ambitious about Australia's digital future. Harnessing the opportunities that AI presents is just one part of the government's digital agenda. A thriving digital economy is one that relies on all Australians being able to participate, and one where we leverage opportunities that the digital age offers. This includes harnessing lateral enablers such as blockchain, quantum computing and the Internet of Things. The government has made a significant investment in AI as part of the $1.2 billion digital economy strategy, with the goal of Australia being a leading digital economy and society by 2030. It feels like a lifetime ago, since before COVID-19, before lockdown-imposed working from home arrangements, before Australia transmitted its first end-to-end electronic prescription in primary care, before when we attended appointments, work, school in person. COVID changed the way we engage with digital technologies. We did more online than we ever imagined we could or would. We shopped, we studied, we partied, we worked out, we sang in choirs and we saw the doctor, all online. A study by McKinsey said that consumers and businesses had vaulted forward 5 years in a period of just 8 weeks. The Australian Broadband Advisory Council found that data consumption jumped ahead 10 years. And overall, we saw nearly 9 in 10 Australian firms adopting new technology to cope with the disruption of COVID. According to Adobe, global e-commerce is closing in at around $1 trillion a quarter. Now that's up 38% over the past year, for reasons that are obvious to all of us. In all of this rapid transformation, we showed ourselves what was possible. We now have an opportunity to keep that momentum going and to use it to rebuild our economy better and smarter than before. As with AI, other technologies have the potential to change our lives for the better. The Digital Economy Strategy sets out the government's ambitious vision for Australia. We envision a future where all businesses will be digital businesses, where all Australians will have access to digital skills and technology, where government service delivery will be frictionless and fit-for-purpose regulation will build trust, and where we have integrated data technologies that will make life easier. Encouraging greater uptake of digital solutions will boost productivity and increase jobs, making Australian businesses more competitive and providing opportunities for all Australians. An alpha-beta report for CSIRO's Data 61 estimated that digital innovation, including AI, can deliver $315 billion in gross economic value to Australia over the next decade. PricewaterhouseCoopers has estimated that it could create up to 250,000 new jobs by 2025. Now, we're not starting from scratch. Australia's quick adaptation to changes imposed by COVID highlight that we have all been on a digital journey for some time. We have high levels of connectivity, high rates of technology adoption, and a world leading in ensuring that digital technology is fair, safe, and trusted. Australia's broader technology sector now employs nearly 580,000 people and contributes $122 billion to the economy each year, representing roughly 6.6% of GDP. By 2030, that contribution is expected to grow to about $207 billion per year. Australia is a market leader in new technologies in diverse areas like mining equipment, technology and services, medical devices and diagnostics, and agricultural innovation. We also have a fast-growing fintech sector that's building on our strong financial service foundations and delivering services to customers around the world. The government is focused on investing in high-quality infrastructure and initiatives to support a dynamic digital economy. Last year alone, we agreed to a further $4.5 billion investment in the National Broadband Network. Now, NBN is now available to over 11.9 million premises, providing high-speed internet to Australian households and businesses. And we're approaching 5G coverage for 75% of the population. The government is also leading the charge by mandating e-invoicing across government, saving businesses time and money when they do business with government. The next 10 years will determine our success. We either continue to accelerate ahead or we get left behind. And that's why the budget provided $1.2 billion in new funding initiatives as part of our digital economy strategy, building on the $800 million provided in last year's budget. Now, in that last budget, we released our digital business plan, setting out how we are working to support the digitisation of Australian businesses by investing in NBN upgrades, support for 5G, invoicing, digital identity, streamlining regulation, and growing fintech and regtech. Now, that's all underpinned by a $1.67 billion cybersecurity strategy. Australia's digital economy strategy builds on this and recognises the government is an enabler, and that the true drivers of the digital economy will be Australians and Australian businesses. Our digital economy strategy includes over $100 million in new investments to build the digital skills in the Australian workforce that businesses need for the future. And that includes a new pilot program for work-based digital cadetships that offer a flexible way for workers to build their digital skills. It includes investments in the cyber workforce and scholarships for emerging technology graduates. Improving the mobile phone network infrastructure in the urban fringe of Australia's major cities, that peri-urban fringe, that are prone to bushfires, by providing $16.4 million over the next 3 years for our peri-urban mobile phone program. And investing in $31.7 million to establish a Secure G connectivity test lab program to trial new and innovative approaches to network and data security, and a 6G security development program to accelerate the commercialisation of secure offerings. Also improving transport and supply chain options through partnering with industry to deliver a $32.6 million grants program for emerging aviation technology, which will address priority community, mobility and cargo needs in regional Australia. We're also establishing a new 30% digital games tax offset to drive investment and growth in that sector, as well as to help attract and build the creative digital skills and talent that we need in this economy. A commitment to delivery of the Australian data strategy by the end of 2021, which will outline existing data initiatives across government and opportunities to build a data-driven economy through data sharing arrangements and data asset management. Now, this list doesn't cover the full scope of government's commitments to our digital future. A key feature of the digital economy strategy is also a commitment to building research and industry capability in emerging technologies. As my colleague Minister Porter has already outlined to you today, to keep pace with changes in technology, the government is building capability in emerging technologies and driving business investment by investing $124.1 million to build Australia's capability in artificial intelligence over the next 6 years. Now, this is just the beginning. The strategy is a living strategy, and it will evolve just as technology does. We will track progress towards our 2030 vision and adjust course as needed to ensure that we are successful in reaching our ambition. To return to my earlier comment on the launch of the first Techtonic Summit, my colleague Minister Karen Andrews at that time spoke of the importance of having conversations to demystify AI, to address the challenges and to seize the opportunities. Today has been a day where there has been important conversations about AI applications in manufacturing, translating Australia's AI ethics principles into practice, the impact of AI on our workforce and our skills system, and how AI can enable better outcomes for all Australians, and most importantly, what we can expect from an AI technology in the future. Now, these conversations are critical to ensure that we work together to look at how we can build a strong AI ecosystem in Australia and maximise the benefits of AI for all Australians. Similarly, the government is keen to continue the conversation going on how we can keep Australia's momentum in realising the opportunities that digital technologies offer, from AI to quantum computing. Together, we can ensure that Australia will secure its future as a modern and leading digital economy and society by 2030. I'll now hand over to Australia's Chief Scientist, Dr. Cathy Foley, AO and PSM, to make her offer and her concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And it is important to remember, as the Minister noted, that in context, AI is really just one element of a broader transformation in Australia's digital economy. It's an important growing part. And now it's my honor to call on Dr. Cathy Foley, Chief Scientist of Australia, to close the summit today and offer her own reflections and insights on how we can build on what we've done here today, what's happening all across Australia, and how we can shape our future as leaders in artificial intelligence. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thanks everyone for staying with us all on a Friday afternoon. What an amazing afternoon. Just think about what the human brain has accomplished if we look at our world around us. We've seen the development of some technologies which have impacted us and changing our world at a rate which is even hard to assume that we can embrace, learn and be able to use in a good way, but also working out how we can make sure that it doesn't end up with having a dystopia, a world which isn't what we really want. So it's so fantastic today to have heard a whole range of different talks and panels and discussions. And it's actually led me to throw my original plan of what I was going to talk about into the bin, because I've heard things such as, first of all, looking at what are the new technologies that are coming up? How are they going to change the way we work, the way we live, and even the way we're safe and the way we think about ourselves as human beings? So that's something which I think all of us need to think about. And I think it also has been identified how important the ethics, the ability to make sure that we introduce this in a way that has the ability for all of the humans in our society, how they're able to come along and be part of this transition, because it's going to affect all of us in many ways. So how do we do that in a way which makes sure we take on board the full human potential? And that includes taking on cultural differences, that need to be able to make sure that we have gender taken into account so that we encourage more women to be part of what makes our AI future. Then the other is also recognizing that we need to be able to introduce AI and machine learning into a way which is something where in 20 years' time, it's going to be a richness of human happiness and a good way for us as a country to see how we've been able to build on these technologies to create growth in both our well-being, growth in industry, and growth in the processes and government systems that allow us to be able to have the productivity and prosperity as a nation. So to do that means that there's huge opportunities for us with our workforce. If you look at the way we're going to be as a society and where industry is heading, it will need us to really turn around the sort of career paths that we have. We've heard a lot about skills and we've heard a lot about jobs of the future, but I think I'd also like to add into that the career paths we need to create for people. As we've heard from young people today, asking questions about AI, we need to understand what are the career pathways for them so that they can navigate their livelihoods and be able to make the most of these opportunities. We also need to make sure that all of us feel empowered. And this is something which I think is absolutely critical. Too often we're seeing technologies get to a point where you have those who are in the know and those who aren't. And those who are in the know have huge advantage and those who don't have a huge disadvantage. So how do we make sure that when we introduce AI and machine learning, that it's done in a way that actually leads to a better, prosperous nation, which is more equitable and allows us all to participate? So how do we go about doing this? And I suppose my call to action is I hope that all of you will go away and think about what is my future in an AI prosperous world. Am I going to sit back and just let other people deal with it? Am I going to be entering into the discussions about the social license of what's okay and what's not? Are we going to make sure that we make the most of things such as the AI action plan that's been announced today? Are we going to make sure that we're part of that action plan and make sure it's delivered in a way that leads to the outcomes we want to see delivered? And how can we make sure that we know what we are going to be able to absorb and be knowledgeable about? And I guess I go back to thinking about us as a nation. Our young people today are not choosing maths and science in their last years of high school. So how can they be empowered? How can they be ready for the careers of the future if we're not even educating them in the areas which are going to be core? So this is something which all of us need to think about, encouraging our young people to go that extra mile and do those sorts of subjects, not because they're necessarily going to be a STEM professional, but because we need to make sure that they're empowered to be able to turn their mind to these questions and be able to participate and be part of the discussion and the decision making, so that as a society, we've got the country we want and to make the opportunity of this. Finally, I think what we need to recognise is that this is the tip of the iceberg in new developments. And I'm going to throw in one area which is probably my own research field of looking at where AI is going to be impacted by quantum technologies, which are going to be even adding on an extra accelerator onto what AI and machine learning has to offer. And this is going to create an extraordinary acceleration, which will allow us to have better secure communications. We're going to have sensors and simulations that will allow us to design materials and have the ability to solve some of our greatest challenges. But we need to make sure that we do this in a way that has that social license, that equity, the jobs of the future, the prosperity and industry, and the government regulation and security and the business models to underpin that all, so that we can make the most of it. So I want to thank everyone today for being involved in what I think has been a really important day for Australia. It's AI, machine learning, the whole digital economy is something which you can see by our ministers who've been involved today, giving time at it and participating in ways which allow us to hear what they've got to say, what the government initiatives are there for the taking for us to be involved with, and see that we need to turn that into a reality. But it will only become a reality if we step up. And so thanks for the opportunity to be part of today. It's been great to listen into the panels, for our speakers, for our organisers. And Mark, I want to also say thank you for guiding us and facilitating us and navigating through the day, because I think all of us are for the richer because of it. So thanks very much. And I hope that we see the Techtonic in probably Techtonic 3.0, I guess, in future years. So back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Dr. Foley. It has been an incredible day. And I reckon the reason for that is, at least today, we are asking the right questions. And those questions will evolve as our understanding deepens. And as we close here today, I too want to express my thanks to the ministers, to the wonderful team over at the Department of Industry who worked very hard to bring Techtonic 2.0 to life. Tom Ryan, Adna Alisovic, Steph David, Agnes Robertson, and a big shout out to Tim Bradley who got the ball rolling. Thank you to all of the panelists who participated today for your insights, for your generosity. Thanks to all of you for attending Techtonic 2.0 and to continue to engage in what looks like it's going to be one of the most interesting revolutions that we are privileged to participate in. Once again, my name is Mark Pesce, and thank you all, and good day.